Okay, today we'll take a look at two more problems from the 九章算术, or 9 chapters on the art of mathematics, also translated as the 9 chapters on the mathematical arts. Once again, we're looking at the chapter 方田, rectangular fields, and this chapter, as a recap, is about arithmetic, especially the arithmetic of fractions, and its applications in calculating the areas of various shapes. Now, in the previous video, I talked about the ancient Chinese method of calculations using counting rods, and we looked at problems 1.01 and 1.02, which dealt with just the area of rectangles. Well, today, the problem is essentially the same. We're still going to look at the calculation of the area of rectangles, but the key difference is the units. So in ancient China, the main unit of length for measuring the area of, let's say, fields is the pace, 步, and the area, the unit of area would be the mu. Okay, so kind of like the acre concept, except it's a Chinese unit. So let's begin by reading the original problems in classical Chinese and understand what it's asking. So for 1.03, it says, 今有田广一里中一里，问为田几何？答曰三顷75畝。So last video I pronounced this character here qǐng, which is is one of the pronunciations of the characters, and it's acceptable. But most standard Mandarin would pronounce this as the third tone. So I'm going to write that here in purple, qǐng, third tone, instead of qǐng, first tone. I'm more used to pronouncing it as qǐng, first tone, so I'm going to now pronounce it in the third tone. Okay, so what does this say? Well, it says, suppose there is, remember, 今有 means hypothetical, suppose there is a field, which in this case is assumed to be rectangular, 广一里, so that means the horizontal length, or we usually translate that as the width, is 1 li. Okay, 一里, third tone here. And what is li? Well, li is equal, is another unit of Chinese unit of length, but it's kind of like the mile concept. It's 300 bu. Right, bu here. So 300 paces. And since 1 bu is roughly 1.5 meters, it varies depending on the dynasty, but it averages to about 1.5 meters. 300 bu would translate to about 450 meters long. Okay, so that's the horizontal length, and the vertical length, 中, is 一里 as well. So this is actually a square. This is actually a square plot, where all the sides are the same length of 1 li. Okay. 问, question. 为田几何 just means how big is the field? What is the area? 答曰三顷75畝. So 3 of these, kind of like a Chinese hectare, and 65 acres, like Chinese acre. I'm going to write mu here. And qǐng. Okay, so that's what it translates to. And well, let's read the next one, 1.04. Okay, it says, 今有田广二里，中三里，问为田几何？答曰22顷50畝。Okay, so this is an actual rectangular field where the horizontal length is 2 lis, and the vertical length is 3 li. So it looks like something like that. So it's a rectangle this time, and that area turns out to be 22 qǐng and 50 mu. Okay, that's the questions. And there is a method for this type of problem, even though it's still a rectangle. They call it the li田术. So li田术means the method of calculating the area of rectangular fields, it's assumed to be rectangular, with the units li instead of bu. So 里田术曰, that's what it says. 里田术曰, 广中里数相乘得积里，以375乘之，即母数. So what this translates to is that the method of calculating rectangles, rectangular fields with li as the measurement for the side lengths, Once again, you multiply the width and the length. So guang is the horizontal length and zhōng is the vertical length. So you multiply those. It's essentially base times length. But you multiply the number in li. So li su. So 相乘 means to mutually multiply, which is regular multiplication. De is to get. Ji li. So once again, we see this character ji, which means product in ancient Chinese math. So ji li is the product li. So we see a distinction between just the character li for its length versus ji li. So that's the area in this case, the product li being the area li in this context. 以三百七十五乘之 means just multiply by 375. 375. I'm going to write that there. 375. 几亩数, that will result in the number of mu, so the amount of Chinese acres. Okay, so that clarifies the method, but we need to understand why did they instruct us to multiply by 375, and that's actually derivable. We can derive that using unit conversions. So I'm just going to erase the board now, read the problem, and it's time to do some calculations. So basically, we just have to do unit conversions for each length because the area is just base times height. That's a basic formula. So for us, for the first problem, okay, maybe I'll go write problem 1.03 here. It's based on the height, that would just be 1 li. Maybe I'll just write it in Chinese characters here and multiply that. Okay, 1 li by 1 li. So it's a square field. I'll just draw that on the side. Same lengths. And remember, 1 li, 1 li, that's translated to, that's equivalent to 300 bu. All right, bu, that's the pace. About 1.5 meters. All right, so let's multiply these two numbers. What does this give us? Well, 3 times 3 is 9, and then you got 4 zeros. So we're going to tack on those 4 zeros. So we get 90,000. Now, technically, this would be bu squared. I'm going to write the squared here. Now, in ancient China, they would just write one character, bu, for the area bu in the answers. But I'm just going to write it like that so it makes sense to the modern mind, modern understanding of area. Okay, so this says 90,000, but we have to remember from the previous video that 1 mu. So that's a mu. Okay, let me write that better. Okay, that's better. This equals 240 bu. Now it's technically bu squared, so I'm going to write that down here. So we're going to divide this by 240, and today we'll write this as, I guess it will be bu squared per mu. Okay, bu squared mu. Okay, so when you divide this, you end up with just mu, which is the Chinese acre. Okay, so that's going to be equal to, it's going to be equal to 375 mu. All right, so that's where we get this number from, the 375 that we have to multiply to the lengths and the widths being multiplied together after. Okay, so that's where the conversion factor comes from. So since our problem here for 1.03 is or essentially computed, we already have the calculation, that is the answer in mu. And to convert this to the answer that's given, which is a combination of qǐng and mu, recall from the first two problems in the Fangtian Su that I'm going to write this in blue here. 1 qǐng. Okay, so I find it so much easier to pronounce it in the first tone. qǐng. Okay, qǐng. Okay, so this is equals to 100 mu. So all we have to do is just change that the first 300 into 3. Right, equal sign here. 3. That one. that unit, and then the leftover, which is 75 mu, is there. Okay, simple as that. So to explain 1.04, I'll just quickly explain that too. 1.04 has the exact same formula, exact same method. It's the same type of problem, just they change the numbers a bit. So this is going to be 2 and 3, 二里, 三里. Okay, so 2 li, 二里, that becomes 2 times 300, so that's 600, and 3 is going to be 900, right? Yeah. Now we could just calculate like this and get the boost squared, but that's not what the method tells us to do. So I'm going to erase all that. And I'm just going to straightforwardly multiply 2 and 3. So this will give us 6 li squared. 6li, 几里, okay, 6 li squared. And the instructions tell us to just multiply by 375. And this will give us 2,250. So 2,250 mu. That's the amount of Chinese acres, mu. Okay, so once again, 100 mu is equal to 1 qǐng, right? So we can just divide by 100 here, and then we're going to get 22.50. Now, that's going to be the amount of qǐng, the Chinese hectare. So we're going to get 22, let's write the character here, qǐng, and 50 mu. All right, and that agrees with the answers given in the book. All right, that's it for today. And I'll make more videos on ancient Chinese mathematics. And next topic should be about the arithmetic of fractions. So I'm thinking we're going to start with the addition of fractions and continue with that. So in the first chapter of the 9 chapters, they start off with areas of rectangles. Then they do a lot of basic arithmetic with fractions. And there's actually several techniques. I think there are several types of operations. 7 types of operations for fractions, and then they continue with the areas of other shapes like triangles, trapezoids, circles, and ring-shaped fields, all sorts of fields. Okay, so lesson's over. Have a good one.